Bir Mehusa Sheteres Achsidus. Yeah, but the Rebbe before an Eisa Kabbalah in Lashon of the Maimer in Tafreshayin Hey, that Chassidus is Amshacha from Ein Sof Shenimtza B'Radla. The Rebbe is going to explain it and what it means in Avodas Adam more Mevayer than the meaning. Bir Mehusa Sheteres Achsidus. So Yuvhar will become clear at the Bir Technei Apnimi Shel Mashiach. Yeah, in Mashiach, the way it is up Pnimis, you have Mashiach, the way it is up Yalacha, the way it's brought in Nigla Deraisa. But with its verstehen the Mehusa Chassidus, that from Frier Mevayer sein, the Technei Apnimi, could have Pnimis of Mashiach. Why? Because the klal is that we can Al Rebbe's Lashon in Tanya ki mischara shel mitzvah neida Mehusa. The schar of mitzvahs, that's the way we know the Mehusa the mitzvah. We can understand, have a idea the Mehusa the mitzvah from the schar of mitzvahs. Because the schar is nimshach from the mahus, from the mitzvah. The schar mitzvah is that the mitzvah is going to be nisgala. Zmana zayid is a mitzvah, so the mahus mitzvah, the ratzna ali of the mitzvah is not mer begali. Schar mitzvah is the reward that you get. It's not like a regular reward. That it's not the reward is not his galus of the work itself. A person does work in a regular, and you get schar. A person gets paid, gets a reward for the work that he did. When shikman to get the schar mitzvahs, the schar stems from the mitzvah itself. That the Gilei HaMitzvah, that's going to be the schar. As much as we do the mitzvah, and it's not mere to us what we're accomplishing. Lasid Lavi, that the Mehusa mitzvah bin is Gala. It says in Chassidus also when you get to Gan Eden, that the Hasagas Elokus that the Neshama has in Gan Eden, that's a ha'ara from the Ratzin, from the Elokus that he was mamshach through the mitzvah. So the schar stems from the mitzvah itself. It says Galus of the Mehusa mitzvah. So mainly from the schar, we could know the Mehus. Schar and the Mehusa. So what does that have to do when you get to Mashiach? So the schar of limud Achsidus, and there was put in the brackets Afatas Achsidus. So from that Indian, the schar is going to be Osimar do Malka Mashiach. So mir ist verstandig. It's not al derech like the schar in Torah. Schar in Torah is not something, is not a zaytik gezach. It's not something else that you get as a reward for doing it, but it's this galus of the pu'ula was mit getan. The schar is the gilui in us. There's a here. Min Yonish and Mashiach schara neidas Mehusa. The Hamshich Adon is going to explain how the Indian of Afatas, the not only the etzim Indian of Chassidus, gilui Chassidus, limud Chassidus is Osei Marda Malka Mashiach, because the Chassidus is the gilui of Mashiach. Mashiach is his galus of what Chassidus is, and the Rebbe is going to be masber later. What's the word afka of Afatas Hamayonis? Why that's the Hadgosha, not just limud or other Inyanim, but afka the being meifitzit. That we'll see later. So the Rebbe first goes into what's the Nukud of Mashiach, what's Mavur in them. So B'bias Mashiach is Chatshu Kama V'Kama Inyanim Nailim. Many Inyanim Nailim. But do was like the Rebbe brought in the Gate of Chassidus before, that there's many milas which is brought in the Gate of Chassidus. So there's when you get to B'bias Mashiach, but it's Chadash Vern Kama V'Kama great Inyanim, not Stam Klinika. There's got Inyanim Nailim, but Allah became it's not the Mahus. Ukumai Gulas Yisrael V'Ashchina Me'Agolas. So that's you don't go back to Eretz Yisrael and Al Derazabin again. That's only there is not Geshir the Shechina, because enough Kibbutz Golius is not just the physical thing of Yidden going back to Eretz Yisrael. The reason why you have now many Yidden Eretz Yisrael, it's not even a percentage of Kibbutz Golius. Al Pidin, it's not Nash of Kibbutz Golius. The Rambam says that Kibbutz Golius is going to be Dafka the Mashiach. And the fact that Yidden are going there, so that's not it's not the halachic musig of Kibbutz Golius. So the Parsha says you don't have all Yidden there. But also said in the Kudas Inyan, the Inyan of Gulas Yisrael is not just the physical thing Yidden going to Eretz Yisrael, but the Yidden become are not Tachas Shibat Umas Ha'ilam. And the Gulas Yisrael is connected to the fact that you have Gulas HaShechina min HaGolas. That the Shechina is going to be Bezgalus in Eretz Yisrael. So that you could have many Yidden going back, but you don't have yet the Gulas Yisrael is not Mitzurah with the Gulas HaShechina. Yeah, there are things in the Gemara Megillah. Kadosh Baruch Hu Shavim Ben HaGolas. Today, Elokus is Behelim, Elokus is Beis Almus, and La'asad Lavi Kibbutz Golius means not only Yidden are going to go back, but Yidden is going to be Meir, the mile of Yidden. The Yidden are connected to the Eibishter in a higher way, and they're the Makir, and Elokus is Nizgalda through them. So the Emes Indian of Kibbutz Golius, Gulas Yisrael, is going to be La'asad Lavi, Gulas Yisrael Vashchina. That's the Ein Zach. So in this Indian, there's no new Indian. There was once a state where Yidden were in Eretz Yisrael. This sin is going to be returned when Mashiach comes. The Mailam is Hecher, which we didn't have even Bizvan Shah Yisrael Shreim Alad Masam, but La'asid Lavedafka is going to be B'Meis Mashiach Yisrael Chachamim Deilim, V'Yedin Dvarim Astumim, V'Yasigu Das Beiram, Molar Deis Hashem Chulu. So these Inyanim didn't exist B'Shmansa B'Simigdash Haykaim. Yidin will be Chachamim Deilim, much in a higher even than they were, that Yidden were ever in such a state. So that's a higher Inyan, the Etzem Inyan of Gulas Yisrael V'Ashchina Min HaGolas. That's another chazach. That Indian you see, so Chachamim G'day is not the Indian of Shinei Ateva. Yidden are going to be in the most perfect way, the most shleimus dekaifen. Chachma and the hasaga of Nivraim is going to be in the ultimate way possible. But that's not an Indian of Shinei Teva Abriya, Shinei Menhag Shaleilam. Yidden, there's Chachma Bizman Hazeh. The Chachma, the Asla is going to be in the Betachlis HaShleimus, which was never, even as much as the Shayakayim, but there was always a certain Hagbala in the Chachma of Yidden. Asla is going to be B'Shleimus. The Mailim Ezeh, there will be a Shinei V'chidush U'Maisa Bereshis. There'll be a Shinei in Welt. It'll be a different Shinei. I mean, let's say the Gemara says, Asidin Ilani Srak Shiyetziu Peiris. So that'll be in Yadam of Shinei Hepech HaTeva. Or they're going to get in of Misa, going to get Chayli, different things which today, Beteva, Bri, or Mechai, certain things. La'asid Lavi, this Teva will be in his battle. The Rebbe brings in the order, even the Kina, Sin of Etachrus, that's also in of Shinei Minhage, Chidush HaMaisa. It's a Teva Elam itself. So each person, there's an Indian of Kina, Sin of Etachrus. There's an Indian of one Mitzias that's still to another Mitzias. The fact that La'asid Lavi, there won't be any Kina, that's a Shinui, a Chidush HaMaisa Bereshis. The Teva Bri Mitzadatzman, Teva Nivrei Mitzadatzman, is naif in that one Mitzias is Seiser to another one. So the fact that that's going to be bottle, that's a Shinui in Maisa Bereshis. That's a higher Indian than Yisroel Chacham did. Yeah, that brings in there's artists here, the Pnim. Masha Omru Ibn Elam Hazil Mesim Sheikh Al-Shivud Malchis Bilvad. That's the way the Rambam paskins. There's Machlokes in Gemara. If all the Yehudim which are brought in Sifra and Nevi'im is that dealing with Yemesim Mashiach, or maybe that's lost. That's this. There's two shlavim. I mean, L'Kul Ha'ama there's two shlavim. There's the Zman of Yemesim Mashiach, and then there's the Elef Hashvi. That's Kibbul Schar, the Elam Atchiyah. And they have the Machlekes, the Rambam, and the Ramban. What's going to be the ultimate? According to the Rambam, the Zman of Yemesim Mashiach is not the ultimate schar. L'Kul Ha'ama is not the ultimate schar. The question is, what is the ultimate schar? According to the Rambam, after Yemesim Mashiach and Elef Hashvi, there's going to be the Bittul Elam, Chat Chruv, and there's going to be the Yichud HaNeshama with the Eibishter. It won't be the Tachlis Ha'ili is going to be that the neshama is going to be detached from the guf, and it's not going to have the hakbalas of guf, and we'll have it vekas and hasagas alakus without the hakbalas of the guf. That's the ultimate schar. That's the elam atchiyah, which is going to be nimshach va'ifin nitzchi. Mashiach, according to the Ravid, the zman hatchiyah kula ama elam haba means the elef hashvi is the zman haschar, which is not agdar b'mis Mashiach. And in that zman, so that's going to be, according to the Ravid, it's going to be tchiyas amesim, and yidden are going to be neshamas begufim va'ifin nitzchi. But that's when you get to the Elam Atchiyah. But the shaila is there's many haftachas in the Nevi'im. So the question is that those haftachas, are they going on the Zman of Yemesim Mashiach, or it's speaking about Elef Hashvi, the Zman of Schar? So there's Machlekes in Gemara. So according to the Rambam Paskins, that Bizman as Elam Kamen Hagenayeg, the Rambam brings this name of Shmuel, that Ein Ben Elam Hazel Yemesim Mashiach, there won't be any difference besides for Shibud Malchis Bavad. It means the only difference is going to be is the Bizman as Yidin are Tachas Shlita Sumas Elam. Mashiach and La'asid Levi will be Tachas, Yidin won't be Tachas the Shibud of Malchis Sumas Elam, but Malchus Yisrael and Malchus Apiteira, not Stam Yidin which are going to be Malachim, but a Malchus Yisrael shall Apiteira, Malchus David HaMelech, which is going to be a Malchus Apiteira, the way it should be a Melech, and representing the Malchus Shemayim, so that's going to be the Shailit, La'asid Levi. But there won't be any Shina, all the Yehudim which are brought in Kisvei HaNevi'im, that's not B'negei Yemesim Mashiach. That's a different man. So but the Rebbe is bringing here that the Kula Alma, last there is going to be a Shina v'chidush ma'aseh bereshis. The Rebbe wants to learn that the Kula Alma, these are not in Yanim which are Talib Machlekes. The Kula Alma Mashiach is going to come before the Zman of Elef Hashvi. Bizman Yemesim Mashiach is going to be a chidush ma'aseh bereshis. The Gemara says in the Rambam Paskins this way that Ein Ben Elam Hazel Yemesim Mashiach l'shibud malchis bavad. Yes, some don't paskin like this Meimra. According to the Ravid, the halach is not like Shmuel. According to the Ravid, there is going to be a difference in Elam Hazel and Yemesim Mashiach. And last will be Garzevim Keves, and all the Yehudim Mashabrat and Sifra Nevim are going to be Kipshutam, and it's going to be Yemesim Mashiach. So what the Gemara says, there won't be a difference between Elam Haz and Yemesim Mashiach is not allowed, but the Rebbe is saying L'kulam, even according to the Rambam. So the Rebbe brings here that more is in the hardest, but the Rebbe is saying in the Pnim that the fact that the Gemara that the Rambam brings La'alacha that there's no difference between Elam Haz and Yemesim Mashiach, the only difference is going to be Shibud Malchis, that'll be Mimshalas Yisrael, but that's only B'tchilas Hazman She'Yemesim Mashiach. Means in the Mashiach Gufa, there's two Tkufas. There's going to be this man, there is Masbrit in the Morbid Pratis in the Sikha of Sikha B'chukaisa. Patients today, Elam gedenkt der Sikha Tznisht. But in the Sikha B'chukaisa, it's in the Sikha Stav Chelik Chav Zayin. So the Rebbe is mevared there that there is what Mashiach is going to accomplish in the world. There's going to be was Melech HaMashiach darf uftan. Melech HaMashiach is not going to accomplish anything besides for Shibud Malchis, that the Malchus Yisrael, Malchus of Torah is going to be the Malchus that's going to be Shailit. But there won't be any his job is not to affect the shinui chidush ma'aser bereishis. The pile in that in the later tkufa there is going to be shinui ma'aser bereishis, but not as a direct result of the pool of Mashiach. I don't know if from the way the Rebbe is mashma here in this, that's the Rebbe's mevar in the Sikha, if you remember. You mitzvah gedenkt das or elam zeichem azam esarzach. This is the Rebbe's mevar that for a few stirs that according to the Rambam there's a difference between what Melech HaMashiach's job is, what his inyan is. His inyan is to be pile that all mitzvahs atayra should be neskayim b'shleimus, but his inyan is not to make any shina and chidush ma'aser bereishis. And that's when you get to Melech HaMashiach himself. And when the Rambam is describing in Perikut Beis how the world's Gemir Mashiach comes, he speaks all the Eilam La'asid Lavi, the way it is as a result of Mashiach's Pu'ula, Mashiach's Hashpah. So since Mashiach's in that the Rambam brings a raya from Ben Kuziva, that Rebbe Kiva had angenommen that he's Mashiach, and Agam, they didn't ask him for any raya, any echach, he's able to be Mekayim, he's able to do things l'malim b'derech hateva. So the Rambam brings a raya from there. The Mashiach doesn't have to do anything which is shini in teva. Doesn't have to make any eisam efes, which is in of nes. So the Rambam speaks in Sefer Hayad how the world's going to be as a result of Mashiach's hashpah in Welt. So since Mashiach himself is not, the Rambam brings a raya from Bekaziva, he doesn't have to do any inyanim which are shini and hagish alaylam. So al derech zeh the matzva elam as a result of the hashpah of Mashiach is not mechayev a shini and hagish alaylam. The poil there's going to be a shini, but not as a result of Mashiach's pula. In Zman it's going to be a later Zman, and has nothing to do with Mashiach's pula. That's going to be a separate thing. There's going to be a shini ma'aser bereishis, even before Elaf Hashvi, even according to the Rambam. But what the Rebbe wants to bring out here, with the Rebbe's medame, I'm just saying, when the Rebbe's medame here, Mashiach, the Chassidus, the Rebbe is speaking about Mashiach himself, not going to get to the state of the world, that's the mashmos. So from the way the Rebbe brings it here, it's mashma, that even the inyan that in a later Zman, there's going to be a shinim and hagish alaylim, is also as a result of Mashiach's pula, not the way it's in the Sikha there. Yeah, but that's not first name Mazunda. But here the Rebbe is saying, not going into the pratis, the kalamnas, the way it says it there, here it's more that Mashiach is also going to accomplish Bias Mashiach. That's the Adgashi here. With the Rebbe is learning here that the Mischar and Neda Mahusa, the Schar of Hafatzach, this is Asimar, Bias Mashiach. So from understanding what the Mahusa of Mashiach is and what his coming means, we're going to understand what Chassidus is, because Adei Hafatzach Chassidus, Asimar, the Malka Mashiach. So the way the Rebbe learns in the Sikh and Bechukay said that the Shinim and Hagish Alaylam is going to be nothing to do with Asimar, nothing to do with Mashiach's Luftu. That's going to be the Eibush is going to make changes in the world, not through Mashiach's Hashpah. That's the parshas of that Sikh. So the fact that it be a Shinim Ma'aser Bereishis has nothing to do with Asimar. That's another inyan, the pashtus. But the way the Rebbe is learning here is that Mashiach's inyan is also going to be B'bias Mashiach is also going to be in his Chadish a Shinim and Hagish Alaylam in Teva Abriya. The Rambam says there won't be any difference. So that's only in the beginning of this man of B'bias Mashiach. But when the Shleimus Hashpah of Mashiach is going to be a Shinim and Hagish Alaylam. As is the Mashmos. Good. So this is the Sefer Hayad. Befrat apim hashekasav beram. So dort steht that this the Alter brings it in Tanya, this Raimhem. Shemaimer zen nemer benegel am yaretz mashik benegel tamid chacham. Raimhem steht that this what it says in Chazal that la'asid love there won't be any shinuyim, will only be shibud machis, but that's benegel am yaretz mashik benegel tamid chachamim. There will be a shinuyim hagish aleilam right bas cholas azman. Okay, there's pratim here, but let me refer durgin the. So that's the dritte Sache is going to be. There's going to be a shini v'chidush in Ma'aser Bereishis. Shinim and Hagish Alaylam. That's the third thing. The fourth thing is was far b'china lukus vet mehr seine Welt. So b'china sel lukus shelamalem atava yiyah az b'gilui. Bizman as the only dargen lukus which could be nizgala today in Welt, could have the mitzvah Welt in a way there's a helen v'hester. But even bizman abayis, let's say, where there was a seseinu re'inu, there was nizgala lukus, but which b'china lukus is able to be nizgala in Eilam was only a dargen of a lukus which is connected, which is be'erech the mitzvah Eilam, which is mulubish in Teva. Mashiach the dargen of a lukus which is higher than Teva, the Shem Havai which is higher than the Akbalas of Welt. So that was Nelam, even bizman that there was gilui lukus in Welt, but the b'china of Shem Havai was only begali in Kedesh HaKadoshim. But b'chol Eilam kulei, the only dargen of lukus that was bizgalus means even when there's no helen v'hester. And the Mitzvah Sa'elim is Megale, Elokus, which is the Chayis of Welt, but only that Dargav Elokus, which is Malubish in Gidre Abriya, in Teva Eilam. But the B'chin of Elokus, which is higher than Teva, which is higher than Zman, higher than Mokim, the Dargas Ein Sof, so that's not Meir Begali. Mashiach Lasla, it's going to be Meir Begali. Shelechein Yu Keirin, Hashem Kiksav, it says that Lasid Lavi, not only in the in the Beis Hamikdash, b'chol elam kulei, there's going to be Kedem es Hashem kiksavi. We'll read the Shem Havaya, the Shem HaMfurish, the would not be Shem Akine, the way not Adnai, the way we pronounce it now, but kiksavi. Why? Because what's the pshat? And then why Bisman Azeh there's only Kriyas Hashem kiksavi in the Mikdash? So that's because b'chol elam kulei yigilib b'chnei Shem Havaya, hayivi ke'echad. Shel malim is manamak. But Dugma say yigilib shevi Beis Hamikdash. You know, the reason why there's an isser to be Kedem Hashem kiksavi. Ksavi means you have the Indian is there, but it can't be. You can't call it out by his galus. It can't be bigoli. That's the word kriya. Ksivi, the etzem Indian is faran involved. There is the Shem Havaya. Even as manazeh, you have Shem Havaya, which is the chayis ilmas neveir from Sefer Kalam. But that chayis involved, which stems from Sefer Kalam, that can't be bigili. It means mekenes ishleinen. When it's bizgalus, it's through a kinu, through a levush of adnai, but not with Shem Havaya kiksav. Shekin la'asid lavi that Shem Havaya will be bigili, will be able to be kaira the Shem Havaya kiksav. So that's the marker that P'chinas al-Kush al-Malam is going to be then Begillah. So that's each inner that I mentioned here. This is Yonim Nailim V'Neflim. This is Ikaris Dikashinuim, not just small little Zaitika changes. Essential differences. The whole Metzias Elam is going to be in a different Eifen. Golas Yisrael V'Ashchinim Me'agolas, and you have Yidna going to be the ultimate perfect state of Chachmeh, and then the Indian of Shinei Ma'aseh Bereishis. And the fact that it's going to be a whole different chayes as well. Today, what's begoli is dagas elokus of gvul, and la'asid lovi b'mesim Mashiach will be begilui the bli gvul of elokus. So that's in yonim which are in yonim nailam ha'id. V'teichen yonim eli is chadash lerek be'elam hazel b'chol elamis, not only in elam hazag ashmin, all elamis, kol elamis hayenim. Why? Because an haga be'elam hasal yenim ukfi seder an haga be'elam hazeh. So if an elam hazeh is going to be a shini ma'aseh bereishis, if an elam hazeh will be chachamim, that means the mitzias elam is going to be b'shleimus in the most perfect way, and there's going to be shini ma'aseh bereishis, and there's going to be gili of the p'chinas ablikval v'alakus. So there's elam hasal yenim, which they function according to the way elam hazeh functions. Elam hazeh is the root. That's the purpose why all the elam hasal yenim are here. So the way elam hazeh functions, all elam is function the elam hazeh. So in Mele, there is al derech hakvias yeshchedesh u'me'adim, shebehem nimshach teisvis lemaila, not only lemata and a yomtiv hamayit, so there's a special gilei lukus. Bizman of yeshchedesh, bizman of a yomtiv in el masal yenim, there's a teisefis gilei lemaila, and the zman of the yomtiv is dikba according to the way bezdin's kaveh lemata when yeshchedesh is. You don't say that lemaila in el masal yenim, the zman of yeshchedesh should be a different zman, not the way the bezdin's kaveh lemata. Even though Yom Tov is negeh sai lamata for Yidden over here, and sai Yom Tov is negeh lamayla chveis. Gehenim is closed certain times. But the shinui is manim neil masayenim. But the zman of Yom Tov Rish Chodesh is nikba according to the way Rish Chodesh is ayidei bezn shalmata. For us, it is because the seder of el masayenim is nikba according to the seder of el hazeh. That's the so mele punkt as if lamata v'zana shinui in all these shinui that were about before. There's a v'zana when they get el masayenim. Kivan shebis Mashiach yishtane klolos hamatzah be'elam hazeh u'protov. So the shinu digmas yeh gam be'elam hasayin. Let me meir the gezach mas lazam shas Mashiach wird kommen. Aber im achri kol anal kol inyanim eile af shegadol v'rav ha'ili v'aflosh b'hem einem ele stafos min nekudas ikr shel Mashiach. That's what I'm going to say. Was besteht? They're saying al pnimi se inyan. What's the mohus of Mashiach? What's he introducing? A yid that's going to have the bekayach to be megalech a lukush malamederech hateva. He has the yechelis to be mamshir that the lukush malam itav Shem Havaya should be nizgal. So that's nicht in dem state the mohus of Mashiach. There's going to be pale shini ma'aseh bereishis. That'll be pale the union of kibbutz golius. Nicht in dem state the mohus. The mohus is an andere Sachen ganz. And all these numbers that I mentioned before is only an outcome. Once Mashiach is here, whatever the Mahus of Mashiach is, which is Shalei Berach higher than these Inyanim, once this Mahus is Nizgale and he's effective in Welt, b'meile v'shen al zayin anders. That's going to be b'derech meile dikatetza. Not that this Mahus is his Inyan is to accomplish these things. This Mahus, the Mahus of Mashiach, is a whole different Inyan and Gansen. Once you have this Mahus, automatically you have all these results. Let's get things in. The artist will do later. Unless it's done später. We'll go through the Gufeini. In Yoni Yikr Shel Mashiachu Yechida. And what besteht the Mahus Mashiach is the Mahus Mashiach is P'chinas Yechida. Steht in Kabbalah, it's brought in Chassidus, this is from the Ramaz, Yedua, that Azevi when you get to the Gufa Adam, the Adam is a Elam Katan Zeh Adam. So there's when you get to the person, so there's the Nefesh which is Mechai the Guf, and there's 5 dargis in the Neshama. 5 dargis. There's nefesh, ruach, and neshama chaya yechida. So al derech zeh benegeh to the elam gadol. The elam gadol is like a guf gadol, and the Eibishter is mechavat mechayis kul. The Eibishter is called the nefesh elam. Ma nesham, the Gemara, ma nesham malis aguf. Chacha katish baruch hu malis. The Eibishter is mechayah the world, be'if in the way the neshama is mechayah the guf. So the same way when you get to the neshama, you have 5 dargis. Nefesh, ruach, neshama chaya yechida. Al derech zeh when you get to the hamshachas alakusen welt. The fact that the Eibishter is the makar achayis of Elamis, there's 5 dargis in the Eirah Leki, which is machayis the welt. Never shuach neshama machayis yichida. And the Rebbe brings from Kabbalah that you have different tzaddikim, different Gdei Yisrael, that they were mamshich, and each one was mamshich another one of these 5 pchinas in welt. David the Rebbe brings here. So it's kedua state in Kabbalah that David zacha l'pchinas nefesh. It says that David wasn't once David became a melech. So Malchus is Yerusha Loy Lazari Ad Olam. It's not that David Melech was a melech and that's it. David Melech's Malchus is in a way that he made that there's a mishpachas amlucha. There's a kaviyach royal blood. There's a mishpacha that has the tchuna of mlucha la'ad elam elam. So he, till then, the inyan of Malchus Yisrael, which is b'chinas nefesh in Sheirish Lamayla, wasn't nimshach yet in elam haz. Was nela. So a person has a keich in his nefesh, but it never became part of his keiches agluim. It was never established in his guf. The nefesh has shlemas. You have a summa that has shlemas hakeiches also, but the keich is in a state of hell, the previous nefesh. It wasn't his gala. So the pchina, the fact that the Eibishter is the pchinas hanefesh of Elokus, it's almost given that there's 5 dargis in the chayis in the Eirah Leki, but the darg of nefesh wasn't a part of Elamis. Wasn't established and it didn't become nikpa in Elamis. Through David HaMelech, David zachol the pchinas nefesh, he was mamsheh the pchina of nefesh, and that should be nimshach in the bria. And that stayed forever. There was a tchuna of Malchus was nikba bezera David ad elam. Even if there's no melech lepayil, but there's the tchuna samlucha bezarim shel David. So the inyan of Malchus, the Malchus of Elokus, which is pchinas nefesh, was nimshach in welt through David HaMelech. Al derech Eliyahu was zachol pchinas ruach. So it's not only that they were shaykhs to this inyan, and b'shas they were alive, they had this, and then it was his battle. They were mamshach in welt these inyanim. The pchina of ruach, meishel neshama. Adam Rishon L'chaya, Mashiach the Pchina of Yechida, that was never Nimshach in Welt. The Ufta of Mashiach is going to be that he's going to be Yizka L'Yechida. Evet Alein Zayin the Pchina of Yechida. Pchina of Yechida Shalomai will be Meir by him, and he's going to be Mamshach in Welt. He'll bring it. Bias Mashiach means that this Mahus will be Nizgal in Welt. So what's this Mahus? Pchinas Yechida. So das steht in Kabbalah that Mashiach Yizka L'Pchinas Yechida. The brings it from the Maimon Tafir Sadik Tes. It says Hine Yaskil Avdi Yarden V'Nisa V'Gava Ma'id. So there's different lashonis there. So in Kabbalah state that it goes on different pchinas. And Mashiach is going to be Ma'id even higher than other versions. That's pchina of Yechida. That's state in Kabbalah. So is the Rebbe hebt on reden.
They say there it goes up in the time. David, Eliyahu, Nesha.
Yeah, I'm saying ich weiß punkt pratim, but you say Adam Rishon L'Chaya, for example. You're saying L'chora Adam Rishon should be the. But I'm saying, but the shadish of Kol Neshamas Yisrael, the Pearls was nimshach through Adam Rishon. The klal of all Neshamas. The Alter Rebbe's Neshama Chadash is nachazach, but all Neshamas were nichlal and nishmas Adam Rishon. So Adam Rishon was the shadish makar of Neshamas Yisrael. At the end of the day, was behelim la davka Adam Rishon b'chlal chveisha punkt what was Meir begoli beim, but all Neshamas were nichlal in the tzir came of Adam Rishon. As it states, so that's the shadish Neshamas Yisrael was an Adam Rishon. That's b'chin of Chaya, huh? That's a high Indian. You have to see what it says when you get to Chaya. But I'm saying lav dafke I'm saying we don't know what does it mean that these tzaddikim were mamshach these yinanim? That's nicht as a yeah. So Meshla Neshama, so Meshla is mamshach teire in welt, and that's but could be. I'm saying could be. I'm never saying in my mind what's the figure is mevayer in Tafur Sadik Tes. So Malas so is the gate to the Rebbe mevayer zayin that for the fact that it says in Kabbalah the Mashiach is b'chinas yechida from them zetmen that these inyanim lefloin that were mentioned before the Mashiach is going to accomplish v'shinim and hagish shaleilam tivishol devarim that doesn't capture what Mashiach is. That we'll see. Shalei be'erech legami. Does have to remember mevayer zayin. Malas hayechida al da'at b'chinas nefesh shuch neshama chaya. B'chamisha, first the Rebbe brings a dugma. What's the mile of yechida over the da'at b'chinas nefesh shuch neshama chaya? And when we're speaking about the dugma from the nefesh pratis, from the neshama prat, b'chamisha madregas shel kol neshama. Each neshama has these 5 madregas. The uftu b'negeh to Mashiach is going to be the yechida klolis of klolis eishtalshalos. Every single person In the neshama mechayis aguf, there's 5 dargas. So in what's besteht the mile from yechida legabe the dad abchinas never shuch neshama chayim. So the Rebbe reden that there's a chiluk muhusi between them. It's not just that yechida is another level. It's a different on a different caliber legamri. So dad abchinas never shuch neshama chayim madrigas pratis. Inyanim pratim. Bchinas yechida yi etzem neshama shal mal migad pratim. Kishma. There was gleich zwei Sachen, was going to be his getaish. So the first thing is the dad madrigas never shuch neshama chayim are pratis dike keiches, let's say. Let's say nefesh is lebusha, machshava dibra ma'isa, and ruach is midis, neshama is seichel, and chaya is ratzin. That's not, there's the mahus hanefesh, the etzem, which is the source, which is the one that, the carrier of all these keiches, let's say, the etzem hanefesh, and then there's the keiches pratim. The etzem is not just, it's not another level. That's the mahus, which is the one that's the makar, which is kailal all these, which is the one that possesses ratzin, the one that possesses seichel, one that possesses midis. So nefesh och neshama chaya, that's all different tchunas, different keiches that the nefesh possesses. There's a sadashav between them. Each one is a keich the nefesh possesses. Masha'in ked yichida is not another darge, another eichos that the nefesh possesses. That's the etzem of the neshama. That's the mohos, which is the one that's nice everything else. That's the first one. The Rebbe also brings in here, as Yivaltum can sagen that there's nefesh och neshama, there's 5, let's say there's seichel, let's say chaya is ratzin in the mashal, in the nefesh adam. Chaya is ratzin, shal ma'ale mitam v'das, and then there is seichel, then there is midis, then there's machshava dibur ma'isa. See, and what's the etzem nefesh? The etzem nefesh is the klal of everything. His mahus is that he's the carrier of everything. So the Rebbe brings here, etzem neshama, shal ma'ale migeder pratim. That the etzem neshama is not just, the etzem neshama is not the carrier, not the klal, which is the one that's the makar for all these 4 inyanim. The etzem neshama is in a different category. All these keiches are all inyanim pratim. They're specific inyanim pratim, keiches pratim. Seichel is davar prati, davar mitzuyir, davar mugbal. Mashegin the etzem is pashat b'tachas apshit. The etzem itself is not in the same category of tzir. He's beyond the whole musig of tzir. He's pashat b'tachas apshitis. We're saying the word pshitis. It's not, the word is not pshitis. The word is that he's not shayches to the whole musig of definition, the whole category of pratim. Shalmale migeder pratim. Kishma. What are you calling yechida? What Amazok the word yechida vazumla is bringing? If the makar of the neshama, if the neshama's definition was that the etzem is the carrier, he's the makar, he's the klal for all these things. There's the seichel, there's ratzin, and the nefesh is the klal for everything. Then there's a yachas, there's a erech between the makir, between the etzem and the keiches. If there's a similarity, or there's a hashva between the nefesh and the keiches, then the nefesh is not yechid. Yechid means, you say ben yachid, he's the only one. There's no one else. Yechid means that she's her own, that how do you say it, a singular being, a einzig ezach. So einzig ezach, if the makir nefesh has a relationship to seichel, and her agdara is that she's the cloud, the makar of seichel, the cloud of seichel, then she's not yechida. Then there's pchinis, there's inyanim which are be'erech the neshama. When you say yechida, it means that the etzem neshama is a singular thing. There's no comparison to it in the keiches and the inyanim which are nizgala from the neshama. As you say, that's what it brings here. Pchinis yechida etzem neshama shel ma'ale migeder prati, which is higher than the whole category of an inyan prati, of a tzir prati. Whether tzir prati is say, it's higher than the whole musik of gvul of a tzir prati. Kishma, as meruf to run yechida. Yechida means that she's an einziker. Einziker means if there's a relation to other things, and there's other things that could express through seichel, you could have a izgalus of what the neshama is. Then the neshama is not yechida. She's not. Then the etzem neshama is not moved to lagamri. She's not a singular. There's plural. This inyan could be expressed in seichel and chachma and bina and das. She's not yechida means there's no comparison to it. The etzem neshama is its own category in ganzen, and there's no erech to the etzem neshama in the keiches in the keiches shan izgala from the neshama. Let's get to Bissel Fernando Kleib. So the Rebbe says, "Ime yois asher mchinis yechida," which is the etzem neshama. Here in this Rebbe saying yechida means etzem neshama, not another darg in the neshama. The yechida means the etzem, means the pnimius and mahusa inyan. Even though the etzem neshama is the makar. Nimshach is out of b'chinas never shuch neshama chaya. So the pashas avana is that if it's a makar, that means from the neshama stems seichel amidis. That means that seichel amidis have a certain value legabi the nefesh. If from the etzem neshama vert keich haseichel, that means that through keich haseichel is a certain expresses somehow the mahos neshama. So if you come and that it's b'chinas yechida, that it's lemayla migeder pratim. So that's how the Rebbe does that the fact that the dal b'chinas never shuch neshama chaya stem from yechida is not like the regular way an inyan is neveh from a makir. אז אין זה שבחינת היחידה היא בגדר מוקר וכלל לפרוטים אלו. כלושן יחידה מאיר על אחדוס פשוטה, המשללס מאיזה שייכס לפרוטים, גם בגדר מוקר לפרוטים. כי דו אבשן יחד לאחד. לא שתית נכסידס, that you have one eifin, let's say, in Seichel, and you have many dogmas like that you have the mocker, like say Seichel, for example. So the Etzem Husa Seichel, you have many types of Chachmas. It's Chachmas Atchuna, Chachmas HaNefesh, Chachmas HaMaisa, you have verschiedene Chachmas. Then you have the Etzem HaChachma. Not the way Chachma is a certain form of Chachma. This type of Seichel or that type of Seichel. You have the Keich HaSeichel, that's a potential for any way of understanding. The Etzem Husa Chachma, not the way it's limited in a certain form of Seichel Ba'asaga. The Etzem Husa Chachma, which is not the Etzem Husa Inin, before the Agdara of Vasfara Seichel. And from this Keich Yuli, which is a marker for any type, doesn't have a tzir prati of Seichel, von kommt alle Ifanim from Verstehen. All different types of Chachmas come from there. Yeah, there's the Etzem Keich HaChachma, not the way it's mislabish and a prat of this type of Chachma, that type of Chachma. The Keich HaChachma, the way it is, b'mkeri v'sharshi. The Etzem Husa. So that's called a klal. You can't say that the seichel, the way the seichel is a chachmas atchuna or chachmas acheshbin, has no erech klal legabe this etzem keich chachma. There's erech. I mean, this is just the way it's connected to a certain tzir prati. This is the same mahus, the way it is in a more general way, not the way it's narrowed down to one specific way of understanding. But there's an erech between the titzah to the makir, and the makir is a klal. The makir is the resource. It's not you have every Indian the way it's materializes lepoil in a certain seichel and was dimensional ma'ayin. Then you have the makar hakeich. The makar is not mitzuyer, the same tziyur that the seichel, that the keich ha-seichel, when it's in slavish with pratius is mitzuyer. But he's the makar for that. It means he's the inyan of the way it is in a makar state. But in the inyan of the way it is in a makar state, there's an erech to the way the inyan is mizgaber. This is the prat and this is the klal of the inyan. Mashiach etzem haneshama is not that there's nefesh ruach neshama chaya. And then there is, so that's 4 forms, let's say, of there's Seichel, and there's Machshav Dibra Maisa, and then there's Ratzin, different Eifanim in the Keiches Nafshim, and the Nefesh is, the Kayach, the way it is in the Klol is the way. Not Mugbal in this Tzir Prati, but is also a certain function that has a dimion to these. And these Inyanim are being mefaret, the general Keiach HaNefesh. So the Rebbe Sinishta say, if it would be in such a Eifin that the Nebo should be a Klal, and the inyanim of Ratz and Seichel and Midas Hashav Diber Maise are this klal in a more pratis dekaifin, then there would be an erech. Then it's not yechida. Then it's part of the same category as the keiches. It's just this inyan in a more general form, in the form of a makir. Not that it's yechida. It's a totally singular entity that's in a different caliber legamri. So the fact that you're calling yechida means that the etzem haneshama is be'etzem mufshit. He's b'chlal not in this realm of Seichel and Midas and Ratz. He's a different inyan ganzen. He's not shaykhs to tzir at all. They're saying something else. Since the etzem nefesh is the mehusa nefesh without any tzir, not shaykhs to any tzir, but meile anything could come from it. If the neshama was shaykhs to inyan of prat, inyan of tzir, so then in order for these 4 inyanim to come from the nefesh, you have to say that the tzir ha-nefesh contains within itself, or is the klal of these 4 inyanim. Let's say these 4 inyanim, the way they are in a general way is the etzem nefesh. So then, if something is a davar mitzuyir, a davar mugbal, in order for it to be a makar for something, the thing that he's a makar for has to have an erech to them. He has to contain that in you. But if the nefesh is l'mayla migeder pratim, he's not shaykhs to the whole category of tziyur. He's not shaykhs to the whole category of gvul of a tziyur prati. So he has no definition. If he has no definition at all, so can come and out for him. So a different way of being. As the Rebbe touches up over here. He says, "Ein zeh shebchinas haychida is begeder makar uklal lepratim elu." Ki'im something else. She nekuda atzmis shel neshama. That's the nekuda atzmis means the etz means the inyan. An etz we want to bring out the nekuda atzmis means it's not a nekuda which is a davar mitzuyir, not a davar mugbal. It's a mohos beyond the whole idea of definition. The way we know mitzias is every mitzias has to have a certain definition of what the hagdara of this thing is. What it's a davar ruchni, a davar gashmi, a zasar tzir, a tzveitasar tzir. A nekuda atzmis is a mohos without any form. The idea of it, that this mohos needs to have a definition of how it exists. Is it edel? Is it geshem? Is it ruchni? Is it this? Is it that? That category doesn't exist in a nekuda atzmis. Nekuda atzmis, it's a mohos without any form of being. So if there's no form of being to this mohos, no definition at all to this mohos, so b'meile can out sein von him. So this mohos could express itself in any way. Not that this way has to relate, has to have an erech to the market. Since the market, let's say, speaking to get to the neshama. So the neshama is kashas talakus, being connected to the Eibishter. So nefesh ruach neshama is being connected to the Eibishter in a form of machshava dibur ma'aser, being connected that lepoil mamish, you're totally dedicated to the Eibishter. And ruach is avaviyira to the Eibishter. And seichel chachma is a certain dveikus of seichel to the Eibishter. And then there's ratzon shema mitam v'das. And what's etzem nefesh? Connected to the klal of all these forms of connections. They were saying the etzem nefesh is connecting to the Eibishter with the mohus of being connected to the Eibishter without a form. The idea of in what type of mitzias is this connection? The idea of what type of mitzias doesn't exist. It's the etzem mohus of dveikus talukos without any agdar of how and what. You understand the meaning? So if you have the mohus of kedusha of dveikus to the Eibishter on a taich, so b'meila there could be any if, and you could have hasagas talukos, not because he's be'erech havanas hasagas talukos. If you have the union of dveikus v'skashas talukos without any definition, b'meila, if something has no definition at all, so any form of dveikus, any form of kasher you're going to have from the etzem hanasham, but not because these things express what the etzem hanasham is. It's the etzem inyan without any hagdara of imvas farayif. So it's the mahus. Let's say neshama is kasher talukus. So in Ibrahim, how do you define this kasher? How does this? It's a kasher ruchni? Is it a kasher gashmi? It's this form of dveikus, that form of dveikus. The idea of form doesn't exist. The idea of in what type of way that hagdara exists in a nekuda atzmas. This is the mahus of yichud to the Eibishter without a taich. Versteht the meaning? Vibal that you have the meaning of yichud to the Eibishter on a taich without any definition at all. There's no definition at all. B'meile nimtzois in Elam Hazeh, you have 4 general ways of connecting in Elam Hazeh, connecting to from a 4 general types of dveikus. Never shoch neshama chay. Since the pnimius hanasham is yichud elokus without the whole category of definition of how and what, so Mele is not mushlo. There could be any type of dveikus which exists in the world, but Mele, but the neshama havenas. Not that these inyanim express it. That's like the Rebbe though.
But neshama is ruchni.
Good, but the etzem hanashama is not the agdar of ruchni doesn't exist either. It's not, and what I mean ruchni? If ruchni means a certain form of being, is it the Eibush as ruchni? It's beyond the definition of ruchni also. The ruchni is a certain type of being, a certain phase, a certain type of existence. The Eibush is before the whole idea of existence came into being. Before the idea came into being, so there's no musik of ruchni, there's no musik of gashmi.
Neshama is the same thing.
The etzem hanasham is one with the Eibishter himself. So punkt azevil gabi the atzmis of the Eibishter. There's no tzir. There's no the whole musik of pratim don't exist yet. There's the etzem hanasham is also shittis in such a eifin. Is one of such a eifin. Yeah. You heard the minion. Yeah. Imazem the shittik. It says k'meish b'chol nasham pratis. B'chinas hayichidah. Hinekuda ha'atzmis shel hanasham means the etzem husa inyan without aviyazeh. Etzem husa inyan. The etzem husa inyan, if without the definition, b'meila it's blig. The Rebbe's going to touch up later pratim, but that's so. Al derech zeh b'neget to the chayis v'hanashama shekol ha'sei shtalshalos. There's the neshama of chol ha'sei shtalshalos. Al derech zeh b'neget to a person. So you have what's melubash in his mayach. A person has keich ha'seichel. Lav davke the whole keich ha'seichel is melubash in the mayach. The keich ha'seichel of the yid hat neshama with keich ha'seichel of the neshama, and this kenzen b'chlal is not meir in his guf the seichel of the neshama. So the Eibush is the makar achayis from the Elamis. In this chayis of kol ha'sei shtalshalos, the Rebbe's kelo the entire mitzvah Elamis in Elam Hazeh biz adam kadmin. So there's 4 madreges, and b'chinas hayichidah sheba b'chinas Mashiach is etzem nekudas achayis shel ma'ala miged tzir. The nekudas achayis of a lakus higher than the whole category of tzir. Category of tzir and mitzvah. Tzir is a very broad word. A form of being is already tzir. Is before the whole form of being. In under the Rebbe Zogda is the Mashiach is going to be this galus of the atzmis of a lakus. Any Inyan outside of the Eibush himself, the Shaykh is already to Inyan of tzir and agdara, besides for the etzem mamish. The etzem mamish is higher than any the Eibush's etzem is higher than any Inyan of tzir. And Mashiach Yiskel B'chinas Yechida is that till there's galus of Mashiach, the B'china, the Chayis Eliki, which is Gali and Velt, is Allah Chayis, which has some relation to tzir. The Velt is a davar mugbal, and the B'china of Elokut, which is Meir and Velt, is a B'china which has a Shaykhis to some form of tzir, some type of agbala. Durch Mashiach with this Gali and the B'china Sa'etzim of Elokut, which is higher than the whole gather of tzir. There's the mahus haneshama, the etzem haneshama, which is not only the carrier of all these keiches. It's mahus b'fnei atzmei, and this etzem, which is the marker for everything, but this etzem is the pchina of kesher telekos, or this mahus without a tzir. It's the mahus ha'inyan without a definition of was fara'ifin this is. So al derech zeh, there's the chayis alikis, which is melubash in velt. The chayis alikis, which is never shor neshama chayah. The chayis has a certain tzir. Chayis and a tzir of this never seen before Shem Havaya is a tzir of higher than Zman. That's a certain tzir. There's certain mitzvahs which are mugbal in Zman. Shem Elokim Meshayches Zman, let's say. Shem Havaya is higher than Zman. We're saying Mashiach is P'chines Yechida is the etzem of Elokus Shalamayla from the whole category of tzir. The Mahus of Elokus. Without a Invas Fara'if in this is. The whole definition of how is a later invention. Inside the etzem of Elokus himself, there's no nekuda of this higher than the whole category of tzir. Yeah. Once you have nekuda zu, so it's nekuda zu. This is the Lepel Shteitach in Chassidus, and says you find the Rambam brings kama v'kama in Yodim Nefloim, which are going to be b'shas Mashiach is going to come. So l'chora if the nekuda Mashiach is p'chnas Yechida is the nekuda sa'etzem of Elokus. The way the pnimius ha'inyan. And the way the Indian is beyond any definition, beyond any tzir. So vi kumta said you have so many biyot. There'll be Golas Yisrael from Golos. There'll be Shini Ma'aseh Bereishis. So the Rebbe says that that's not the Nekudas Pshitas. All these names that we're mentioning before are nanim of tzir. It'll be Kedem es Hashem Kiksavi. That's a certain Indian. You have Elokus, the Elokus is verbunden mit Teva. You have Elokus, the Elokus is higher than Teva. That's a certain phase beyond Teva. So that's the Indian prati. Legabi the Mashiach is M'chines Yechid, which is the etzem of Elokus, which is higher than any tzir. So the any tzir hechste zach which is going to be doesn't express the nekuda of Elokus, which is beyond the whole category of tzir. So nekuda zu, but once you have this nekuda, the way the etzem is beyond the whole idea of tzir, so mistaf is kol ma'alas hapratius never shuach neshama chayah the clothes. Once you have this muhus, ader muhus v't izgalaver. We can touch on more protein later, but once this muhus is izgalaver. And this mohos has no hagdara at all. The mele, there's going to be all these inanim which the Rebbe mentioned earlier, as a titzah from the fact that you have this nekudas achayis that's beyond the whole tzir of Gvul. The Rebbe don't touch. It says like this. First of all, etzem achayis ibulti mugbul. V'abli Gvul shaloi ene rak b'inei the Rebbe uptouch. V'abli Gvul shaloi ene rak b'inei anitzchius inenu nitfas b'shinui azman ki kol etzem bulti mishtana. Parshas Advarim, saying that the klal is kol ma sheyesh li tchila yesh li tichla. So if it's anything that stems from something else, it's not the etzem of it's not the mohus, it's not the amitis amtzius, it's not the etzem. It stems from somewhere. So there's achalein doesn't have to be. It's ken yezen, it's ken yirzayin. It was nischadish. Anything that was brought into being, its existence is not inherent. It's not mechuyev amtzius. Only the etzem is mechuyev. Anything which is not mechuyev to be is shaykhs the same way it didn't have to be brought into being, it could stop also. Any inim which is not the etzem of Elokus is a davar mugbal. Davar mugbal is kanuf gerdver. Only the etzem of Elokus is ein le tchila and ein le tichla. So b'shaz der etzem achayis with this galaver, when the world's going to become connected from vas with this galaver in Welt, the way we are mitzad etzem, mitzad yichida which is mitzad etzem, the mele, the whole idea of gvul in the sense of kamos will be in his battle. Because kol etzem built in any nitzes shnei azman ki kol etzem built mishtana. It's an interesting zach. Shagam zeh matam shel asel yu chaim nitzchim. Why the whole inyan of misal be in his battle asel lavi? Why will be in his battle inyan of misa? Even according to the Rambam, that the shlemas haschar is going to be neshamas beli gufim. That's not because it's going to. That's something else. The ultimate ili is hafshata of guf. But l'asel lavi will be the bittul of inyan of misa. Why Bizman Hazeh is there Misa and there's Hefsik? Because Bizman Hazeh, the Eilamis are Merkabel Chayis from the Dargis, from the Giluyim of the Eibishter. So the Giluyim are also Dvar Meshashaychis Tashini. Only the same way they're dependent on something. They're not Be'etzim. They don't Be'etzim exist. You versteht the meaning? Yeah, but anything that was brought into being means that there was the be'etzem without creating it didn't exist. So if it didn't exist, that means that the same way it once wasn't, it's kanver neisechet. What's something which cannot be in his battle? What's the davar nitzchi? Something that the fact that it exists is inherent in this mohus. that he's a Metzius. So that Metzius, if the fact that he's Kayim is an inherent thing in him, so it's not shaykh to say Indian of Shinui, Indian of Hefsek. So Bisman has that the Elam is Mekabel Chayis, that the Elam is only Vasfar a Welt is this Gal Bisman has that the Elam is the way they're connected to the Pchinas Hagiluim of the Eibishter, to lower dargas. So those dargas are not in Yanim which are built in Mishtana. They're all in everything's dependent on Ratzon Elyon. So since they're dependent, means they're be'etzem, they don't exist. If the Eibishter wouldn't bring them into being, they wouldn't be. So mitzat atzmam, they don't inherently exist. If they don't inherently exist, they're only here when we want them, so they could be cancelled. They're by definition not in Yanim Nitzchim. Mashiach, the etzem itself is Nitzchi. So b'shas, there's such thing. So achshav shim shachol not is pashtus achayis, which is pashtus is something which doesn't have to be. It's dependent on a makir. So yeshne in amisa. Kenes is battle there. Let's say when you get to the neshama and guf. So the neshama is not shaykh in amisa by the neshama. Why? Because it didn't receive life from somewhere else. Its mahus is chayim. Its mahus is chayis. If it's mahus is chayis, it's be'etzem achay is not shaykh that it should be in his battle. The guf be'etzem is a shtik flesh. It was nischadish at a certain point in time that the neshama is mechayis. The same way it was nischadish once it's kind of battle of ernechet. So that's Ispash is a chayis which its existence is dependent on a makir, so there can be the bittul achayis. Because it's b'shaychin nashini, v'ad hefse v'koloin. Mashiach lo asher sheyimshach the etzem achayis, the etzem of elokus. So in the etzem is they call atzmi built in mishtana. The etzem is he's the inherent being. He's the what brought everything else into being. So the fact that he exists, that's inherently the etzem is kaim. Azayin is neshaychas to be nishtana. His existence is not dependent on a certain zman, a certain kufa. The fact that he exists is because be'etzem, this is a davar nitzchi. The whole musik of heder doesn't exist. B'shas the world's going to be nisachid with the elements to the way they are mitzad etzem. So the whole musik of shinui and misa won't be shaychas involved. You see, always there is a chaim nitzchim. It's a chaim nitzchim. Mit leben afebi. Chaim nitzchim. That's the expression of the fact that a yid's going to be nisachid with primis alakus. When you're nisachid with primis alakus, now with a darga mitzum tzemes, which is the fi'ar chayilam. A darga with the primis of alakus, which is b'meila, there's not shaykh in of misa v'shini, because the etzem is bligvol. The derech zeh, the hedrak balas etzem is not only the fact that the etzem is the mechuyev hametzias. He's be'etzem azeh. It's not chazach. Gam b'din eiches v'amayla. Means every other metzias has a certain definition. It's not ultimate perfection. It's not the tachas hashlemus. There's a certain. This is any tzir, any darge pratis, any form of being. So he has this form, and he's not something else. There's a certain definition. You see, even Chassidus has a bligvol, so he has the chisarn that he can't be something which is too heichezach. So a tamid cotton is not a keli for it. L'malam azman says man is not a keli for it. That's a certain agbala. Masha'ink in the etzem, which is beyond a certain form of being, so he's bligvol also in the sense, you know, eichos v'amayla. The gabe the eichos, the gabe the mayla. Sheshalimu b'tachas hashlemus. It's not shaykh the whole musik of chisarn in eichos adbar. So the ching shetumshach ba'ilm is b'chinas ha'yichida. V'yuchi b'chayis atzmi b'shas velt betis achid ver. With which darga of chayis? With the etzem, with chayis atzmi, with the etzem of alakus. So you b'meila b'tachas ha'mayla v'ashlemus. The etzem is beyond the musik of Maila and Shlemus. In what's b'shtei der etzem that he has all different types of qualities. It's not that he has all different qualities. Since the whole idea of gvul, the idea of a definition doesn't apply to the etzem, but Maila, there's no limit in what type of Maila you get out from it. It's tachas hashlemus, but all zayin. So the world's going to be perfect. Today there's a certain hagbala in the chacham. Why will chacham be b'shleimus? Because if you have the etzem, which the etzem the etzem is not mugbal in muhus, in eichus, he has no definition to his being, to his ma'ila. But ma'ila, you can't say but he's beyond seichel. When you have the etzem, it overrides seichel. The etzem it has no definition at all. So the etzem is cradle everything, and everything in the most perfect form. So b'shas the Welt is going to start living from the chayis of primis alakos. The seichel will be b'shleim. So Yisach Chachamim Deilim be the ultimate seichel and the ultimate midas and the ultimate in everything. Be the ultimate shalom v'ava, all good things will be b'tachas hashleimus. Because the etzem has no definition, not the definition that he negates things. So there's not going to be any when you have the etzem b'meila, you have everything b'tachas hashleimus. Any inyan of Maila was Kenar Zayin you have when you have mitzad ha'etzem. A davar mugbal is you only have what the inyan contains. So seichel contains seichel, but a mile of midas, let's say seichel doesn't contain. The etzem doesn't have a definition. So mitzad that you have ultimate perfection. V'zayin alle milas.
Now the Giluyim are Mailim on that.
Every gil is davar mugbal. Yeah, I'm saying Even bisman should be smid sheikayim. So they're saying even like Bizman should be smid sheikayim. The reason why there was a hefsek, there was a gidul lukus, let's say, then there was nifsak. Why was it nifsak? Even then there was misa. Why was there misa then? Because the chayis ha'elam, it wasn't iskala yet the way the world is mitzad ha'etzem. The world wasn't a keli yet to the primius achayis the way it is that the primius alukus should be nizgala. The etzem of alukus should be nizgala in Welt. So which pchin alukus is nizgala? Darga which is the fi erech ha'elam. That darga, which is let's say a darga of chachma shalamayla. Chachma shalamayla is not a davar nitzchi. Chachma shalamayla is totally in ratzon. Everything was nitzchadish. The Eibishim said that's mizam muchach chachma. So chachma is yesh le'tchila, so mele yesh le'tichla. Same way it could begin, it could end. Mashegim b'shas, the world is going to be connected to the previous holocaust, to the etzem holocaust. So the whole musig of misl will be in his battle, and al derech zeh there will be no musig of chisarn. Everything will be b'tachas hashlemus. In every realm of Elam Hazan, every certain mile of Kanar Zayin, that mile of Guf will be b'tachas hashlemus. When it's going to be when the chayis ha'etzem is going to be Meir Begoli. I was going to touch more pratis later, but that's the Nukot.
Instead of being a hell on that, it's going to be
everything's going to be the way it is mitzad ha'etzem. Yeah. But what the Rebbe is touching here is mitzad ha'etzem, everything's going to be in a perfect way. Since it's not that mitzad ha'etzem, so there's no seichel will be bligvol. So the etzem is not bligvol. The etzem is the mohus of a lukus without any form of being. Mitzad that inyan, any form of reality is going to be b'shleimus. There won't be any defect in anything. Fakert, everything will be b'tachas hashleimus. Was noch kemol nicht gewähnt. Nothing will be in his battle. You have seichel b'tachas hashleimus. Midas b'tachas hashleimus. You have shalim and ave, v'reyus, and all of them b'tachas hashleimus. Any quality that exists today won't be cancelled. That in guf will be b'shleimus. Because the etzem is not, if the atzmius of a lukus was a certain form, let's say the Eibush is bligvol. When bligvol will be nesgale, but bottle veringvol. He said the Eibush is saying bligvol in the movement of echos. He has no definition of what type of being it is. It's the inyan of chayis without a definition of chayis. If something which is not even the definition of beyond, the mohosa inyan without any limit of how and what. Azastart inyan when it's nisgale doesn't negate anything. It's everything the way they are mitzad ha'etzem is b'tachas hashleimus.
Also now the reason that everything exists is mitzad ha'etzem.
Good, but it's not begolim. Say that. That's the versteht sich. It's not bezgalus. Yeah, it's not bezgalus. That's going to be the ufta Mashiach is going to be that he's going to be mamshich this inyan begoli. Lamer zeh menigeit chassidus. I'm going to go back somewhere. Lamer zeh menigeit bezalta. So this is das rat menigeit Mashiach. Das nicht as pasha with the Rebbe sagt. Kamer leil mischarish lafas chassidus. Later the Rebbe is going to nachmal. The inyan of afatz is not the diak right now. The inyan of what's chassidus. That's what we're going to the Hamshech HaKudus, Rebbe is going to speak about why this is negeya hafatz chassidus. Mischarish chassidus, which is bias HaMashiach, neidas mohosa. What's the mohosa of chassidus? It's kol achidushim shechassidus chitsha. B'teira keilul havas, b'teira many inyanim, but keilul havas chilek aseitzhe v'ol yedei gilui. Yeah, till was one of the main inyanim when you get to Teira with chassidus tufketan. The till is galas chassidus. The Teira Sekabala was only shaychus yechidus gula, and through the gilei chassidus, so the Alter Rebbe was mamshech halakus in seichel. Even the Baal Shem Tov was megale inyanim of seidus atayra in a way that even pshutei hamein am are able to be taifus. Chilek aseit bali the gilui. Benegay Tavedas Adam and Hagel Fnim Mishur Sadin, or Shini Teva Midis. Bechlod Sa'elam is Eris Meis Alphas. So it's like this. Einam Chidushim Shkolechet Vechad Mischadish B'fnei Atzmi. It's not that the Mashiach through the Baal Shem Tov that was aufgetan ein Zach Meir given Welt von seines Alphas. And then he also did another inyan. The Baal Shem, the same person, also accomplished Chveis Gilei Chelik Aseich B'Teira. And the same person also made a Psanuch Chiddush in Aveda. You have one person. Say someone is say God Elamas. He did a lot of accomplishments. He accomplished many things. It's not each one is a separate inyan, but there's selber mensch with the same Nesiach Chassidus haben aufgetan die alle Sachen. Das ist nicht das. Ki im Chassidus hi chayis chodesh. Chassidus is megala nu chayis. Chayis chodesh. Chayis atzid b'chines yichida. Chassidus is the ascholas agili of the chayis, the way it is inside the etzem. The rest of it's going to be nizgali and shleimus, and that's going to be the mitzvah of welt. We're going to breathe that chayis. But the type of chayis which is going to be nimshach begoli, lo'asad lavi, that type of chayis started to be nizgali through the zgalas of Teres Chassidus.
And new in the sense that it wasn't not yet Gili ever?
Yeah, not only wasn't Gili, it means it wasn't. You say the word Gili, not that it existed regularly, but we didn't know about it. Yeah, that's a famous thing. I'm saying it says when you get to the famous Maisa, when you get to the Magid. It's not raised by Maisa. The Magid was not the Magid, the Vesesv, I'm sorry, that he was there's a stark Gehar of it. He had a Psakashi, he was working for a very long time, a couple of weeks, and then he was walking by a little class with a Malamed in a shtibel, and he heard a little boy learning the Gemara. He asked the same shal that the Vesesv asked, and the Malamed thought for 3 seconds, and he gave him the teres that it took him 3 weeks to work. And he had a klish sadas that the Megal Temel Maila that till this inyan was nizgala, so it didn't exist in Seichel Anushi this inyan. The din Lamaila had gahad this klarkeit in the Elam Aitzira, but in Elam Asiya this idea didn't exist yet. So it's not only you were to till now we didn't know about it. That's the chidushim that maybe for zeicha to do. I'm saying the Alter says the other chiddush is etzema gili, but is etzema uftu. But I mean the parshat dvarim is the idea existed, and like this melamed was mechader something in his mind. He didn't hear about it before, but the idea already existed. He thought he concentrated and he got it. Mashiach in the Beis Yosef, the inyan didn't exist in seichel of Elam Hazeh. This mamshach given from Elam Aitzira there to Elam Asiyah, or the Maggid that would hold the Davar Gashmi when he had it to be matfisir in Elam Hazeh the inyan. So that's not just the etzem is atzmos, but it should be Meir that the world should contain this inyan, that it should be shaykhs to welt, it should be a reality in our world. It's beyond the whole category of reality altogether. And the inyan of Metzias didn't contain this chayis the way it is inside the etzem, which is beyond any definition. So the Chassidus, the Baal Shem Tov, with Alter Rebbe, and Ongev Megala Zayin a chayis which is the chayis ha'etzem, that it should start being that the world should contain this etzem. That's not just a pasha. There was shlavim in this inyan. Baal Shem Tov, the Talmid of Baal Shem Tov, is a whole seder. It's given as a pasha. It's not that, and the shlemos will be when Mashiach comes. That's going to be the world's going to become one with this chayis. That's going to be the pasha. The Mitzvah Sa'elam is going to function based on this chayis. Today, the world b'chitzayim yusay is not functioning based on the fact that it's maybe certain things behelim, but I'm saying begoli. A person doesn't wake up in the morning and the chayis that he's living of begoli is the chayis of Yechida of Pnimis Alakus. Lo'asadavi, you were able to access to have ashpa from this chayis. It's able to be nimshach on a person. To the limit achsidus, it was nimshach in welt, but there's one thing being nimshach in welt, and another thing is that the world becomes programmed according to the Pnimis Achayis. Thus is Shleimus Lo'asadavi. So the Rebbe says here that Chassidus see Chayis Chodesh. Chayis Chassidus is the Chayis that's beyond. It's not an Inyan Prati. It's not a Tzir. The Mahus Elukus. Elukus be Elukus Adavar Atzmi. Not a definition. Not a certain. B'chinas Yechida. But then the Kasher Chayis Chodesh Zeh Shel Chassidus Nimshach Ba'elam. When this new Chayis, so it was Nimshach in Welt. Let's just get the back for a second. So not that it negated other things. Every aspect that ever existed was nitzchadish. Aveda Sa'ad Bir Amidis existed before. When a chayis chadash and b'chinas ha'etzem is nimshach gavar nevelt, so that inyan gufa became perfected, became b'shleimus. Means we're going to see later pratim. The etzem is meir in every inyan lefi zayin tzir. Aveda Samidis is there's the way Avedas Hamidus is mitzad etzem. Not the mitzad etzem. There's no concept of midas because the etzem is bligvol. The etzem is not bligvol. The etzem is ultimate, without any definition. So you have every inyan stays that inyan Avedas Hamidus, but you have Avedas Hamidus the way it's perfected, and the way it is the way midas are as a result of the etzem. What is Avedas Hamidus in result of the etzem, or what is seichel in result of the etzem? Seichel, Havanas HaTorah, in result of the etzem is that B'chinas HaSeid is Bali the Gili. Kabbalah comes to the Gili. That's a result. B'chinas HaKabbalah being Nizgala, that's in Seichel, it's in Prati. But it's Seichel mitzad the fact that there's Nizgala Sa'etzem. So now how is Seichel as a result of the fact that the etzem is Meir? How does Seichel respond when it's Meir in it, the pnimius of what Seichel is? So in B'shas the etzem is begilui. So how does Seichel respond with the etzem is begilui and Seichel? That the B'chinas HaSeid is Bali the Gil. And how is Avedis HaMidis when the etzem is begoli in Midis? That the Shan is Teva Midis, not just Midis Vativ. And all these inyan. Schilu kol inyan elam lichis b'chayis chadash chayis chas. U'b'meilu is chashav v'kama v'kama inyan. There's new inyanim in this chadash. Not only that those inyanim, the way they were before, were perfected in a whole different eifin. They all became the way they are, the way the Rebbe said before. Say, since the etzem is a davar nitzchi, it's not shaykh enough hefsik, so it'll be chaim nitzchim. So we're not going to say it's going to be in a zbatel, the idea of life. The concept of life, the way it is a result of the etzem. What's life as a result of the etzem? So life is not mukbal. Or so Aldar is going to get to everything, and then there'll be neschadish nu in yanutak. The same you say someone is going to you say someone has a keich haseichel in his meich, and there'll be a new is galus of keich haseichel from the previous never should be this gal in his meich. So there'll be new in yanim. His seichel is going to work better. It'll be new in yanim. So Aldar is b'shas. There'll be this gal the chayis of etzem anashama. So not only the inyanim that we had till now are going to be in a whole different darga than the way they were before. They're going to be the way they are mitzad the etzem. But it'll be neschadish tak a new inyanim. When new inyanim that were neschadish. But all derech hamela. Understand just the brackets. So kasher chayis chod elam versteht the minyan. Kasher chayis choder zeh shel achsidus nimshel. Rebbe's going to touch up more prat in the. Das mit den Zen. Kasher chayis choder zeh shel achsidus nimshel ba'elam. Teres achsidus eklolis adi kikshus abal shemt. Magid b'chulu. Tamidi amagid. V'achar kach is another stage. Teres achsidus chabad. Adi anashama chadosha. Ad marazakim ba'al simcha v'agula. So mainly everything else started to live in a whole different life. Yeah. Was in a paradox. In a paradox, you get weiter in the Lamas in a paradox. Let's do artists when we get to this Indian first. Okay, these are artists of 43, 44. We'll do them after we learn the none of the way the Rebbe's environment will be more clear. Yeah.
Numbers can be different.
What do you mean?
Some different prints, different numbers. Yeah, I have different.
Why? There's different artists. So, okay. Yeah. So 43, 44. So I don't know what to tell you here. But there's an order that starts. Yeah.
Then tell it.
This is the Fidiker brings from the Ramaz that Ramaz says the Mashiach Yiskel L'Bchinas Yechida. So Fidiker brings that Sheprimis HaTeira that Mashiach is going to teach is mitzad Bchinas HaYechida Shabbat. The Rebbe brings a mocker is this. It's like in the Pnim Azay that Chassidus Achayis Chodesh and Bchinas HaYechida. And as they state in the Maimer in Tafir Sadik Tes, the Hemshech Lezed the Mashiach is Bchinas HaYechida. Dort state that Primis HaTeira, which is going to be Izgalu Time HaTeira, which is Izgalu from Mashiach, that's mitzad Bchinas HaYechida Shabbat. That's going to be the Izgalus, means the Chassidus is the Izgalus of the Bchina of Yechida. Oh, then the Rebbe means like this. We know that Achia Shileni was Rabbi Shal Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov was the Meyaseh Teres Achsidus, Primis HaTeira, which is Me'aim Primis Teres Izgalu Asid Love. And the Achia Shileni is called Nikra B'Shem Baal Chai Yechida. So you see that the Rebbe speaks to another artist somewhere. What's the Shaykh as Achia Shileni punct to the Indian of his Galas Achsidus? The Rebbe brings a beer from Divrei Mechayev. Why there's a connection to... But like upon him, it brings sich in Sfarim that Achia Shileni is called Baal Chai Yechida. So Mezet, Achia Shileni, which was Rabbi Shalom Hashem, the Vitarim Teira, you see that the Teira Achsidus, which was taught through Achia Shileni, is connected to Bchinas HaYechida. Because he's called Baal Chai Yechida, and he was the rabbi, he was the one that the Makar of Chassidus stammed from Achia Shileni. V'chein Rosh Alf Yisrael Shebechol Der, Nesim Shegilu Teres Achsidus, in Bchinas Yechida, Yikol Shekol Yisrael. Good. But then there brings in the Pnim, V'achar Kach Teres Achsidus Chabad. So it means Teres Achsidus Gufa, V'zeh Shehevi Achsidus Lavana V'asagad Chabad, Gilos Etzem Pnim Yisrael. Yeah, there's dargis. So you see that Chassidus Shechayis Chodesh and Bchinas Etzem, you have the Etzem the year since Galdos through the Baal Shem Tov, and the Shleimus is Galdos Etzem was through Chassidus Chabad Afke. The Rebbe brings Mekeiris that the fact that the Alter Rebbe was Mamshech Chassidus and Seichel, Teres Achsidus and Seichel, so that's the Middem that Alter Rebbe Mamshech given the Atzmius of the Teres Baal Shem Tov. It's the famous word that the Barditchever said that all the other Talmidim they had the Alter Rebbe took the Gedichte or the Smetanus. So everybody else took the Chassidus B'chlal is galus of a chayis of etzem anasham, but in that itself, there's the etzem pnimius of this, the mahus of this. It means that the etzem is mehr the ganze take if that alter rebbe genommen. So dafke in Chassidus Chabad, there you have the inyan of this chayis chodosh in the atzmius of pnimius atayra. Okay, there's different views. We'll see the Rebbe's Mitzvah to look at this Chelik Dal. The Rebbe's Mevayer, the Alter Rebbe said that he's an anical of the Baal Shem Tov, and that the Alter Rebbe is a deeper anical than the Rebaruch. So that's in the Sikha why the fact that Alter Rebbe is Mamshich in an Asaga has to do with the fact that the Atzmis of Teres of Baal Shem Tov is his Gala. Yeah. In order 48, the Neshama Chadasha. So there means several stuff in here that there was Neshama Chadash, and here there was Mitzayin, Elok the Torah, Shirashirim, Bepirish Inin Neshamas Chadashes. And so sad what Neshama Chadash means. So some Taish Neshama Chadash means that all the other Neshamas were here once Begilgul. Neshamas Amol Geven. Every Neshama that's now Bismanenu was here once already. It's the second round for a couple of rounds. The Alter Rebbe's Neshama was a new Neshama. Kemel Neshnim Shegavern and Welt. But the Rebbe brings him to the Torah. The Rebbe he's not saying that he was Neshama Chadash. This the Baal Shem Tov said there's Nimshach Neshama Chadash. But the Rebbe is Mitzayin. The Gabi this Indian towards the Alter Rebbe to the Torah. Neshama Chadash means it's a Neshama from a higher darga. All the other Neshamas were Nichlal Benishmas Adam Rishon. Saying the darga the Neshama Chadash means a Neshama from a higher Elam, a Neshama from Pnimius Alakos, from Pnimius Atik, that wasn't Nimshach through Nishmas Adam Rishon. So one of the Chassidim said that all Neshamas were Nichal and Nishmas Adam Rishon, and each Neshamas is Yaakov. That's some means the Yaakov is the parts of Adam Rishon was the parts of Tzir Kaimeklolis of all Neshamas, and every Neshama is a prat in the Tzir Kaim of Adam Rishon. So Kumtais that all Neshamas had to do with Chet Tzadas because Adam Rishon went through the Chet Tzadas, and all Neshamas were Nichal in this Neshama. Saying the Alter Rebbe's Neshama Chadash, the Alter Rebbe's Neshama from a higher darga. So it wasn't a prat in Nishmas Adam Rishon. So we knew a darga of Pnimius Atik that wasn't Nimshach involved. Be'etzem is the Neshama which is Shayach to Lasid Lavi. And B'meil the Alter Rebbe's Neshama is higher than the Chet. That's the Psavart that the Rebbe doesn't bring this here. But the Rebbe just brings the Etzem Minyan. That the Pshat Neshama Chadash is like the Alter Rebbe says in Shirashirim, that it's from a higher Pchina in Gansen. All the other Neshamas from a lower darga. You know, it's some Maisa that there was once, I remember exactly the details, but to be able to say the story, that once there was a conversation, maybe it was a night of Yechidus, and there was a specific kuach, when I said that figure said that there was Neshama Chadash, what does it mean Neshama Chadash? Does it mean Neshama Chadash that the Rebbe explains to the Torah, that it's from higher than Pchinas Adam Rishon, Pnimis HaKeser? Or it's Neshama Chadash means that was never Nimshach in Welt? It's the same sort of mocker from all the Neshamas. Pchinas Adam Rishon, but Sachakal was in the Sachakal, but it wasn't Nimshach in Welt. So back and forth, and someone asked the Rebbe said, "Why is it manafkin minute to you and Abayas Hashem? What's the nafkin minute or something?" But here the Rebbe is not signed to the Kutatera. Shinashinim. Good. Lamer Zen. Same thing in R49. The same as before. L'harim izah shachaguli teskislev. She'oz haya ikar inin eslapshas achsid. The Alter Rebbe gufet. The Alter Rebbe's shittas Chabad started, and the Alter Rebbe was very young. The Rebbe says that the Yisaytis started, and the Alter Rebbe was mamish he's 15, even before he went to the Magid. But said the chagaguli teskislev. She'oz haya ikar inin eslapshas achsid is b'seichel. Told them more and more in the way of and the din of eslapshas started b'ikar after Yiteskislev, and the idea eslapshas zu. Slapshas and Seichel Mizbata Etzin the Pnimius Atera. So that's Rosh Hashanah L'chsidis. Why is Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah Ubchina Klolis. Ubay Nimshach Emek or Pnimius Atzmus in Tzav Baruch Hu. The state in Chsidis Rosh Hashanah, why you called Reish? Because it's the Amshacha from Pnimius Atzmus Rosh Hashanah. Everything's Chezul Kadmusam. So there's a Chsidis you related to Rosh Hashanah because Chsidis has to do with Pnimius Atzim. Good. That's going to get to what the problem should we learn. We'll see Siv Zayin and. So maybe just do fast this order. They based us. The order going to get to this manin. We based the minion. Can we learn this? We'll just see the order 29. And we're going to get to Shini Chidish Ma'aseh Bereishis. So the Rebbe brings here that in the Pnim that lost of the Shini Chidish Ma'aseh Bereishis. It means Mitzayin that to Rambam Seifel Chas Malachim. No, I'm sorry. What is that on? That's on the Ketah before. I don't have the number. The next order. Re'ir Rambam Sham that Ba'esi Azman Li'iyah won't be kinna Chol Madana Matzim Ka'afar. That's the Chora Shinui in Hagei Shaleilam. I'm saying today in the world, there's a Madana Matzim Ka'afar. There's a certain aratzes that are Mesugol Leheitzi Tzmachim, and there's not Madana Matzim Ka'afar. I'm saying there's a limit in order to for the resources the world has to be able to come out. And the Madana Matzim Ka'afar is a Shinui in Ma'aseh Bereit, a Shinui in the way the world functions. Afle Daite the Garv Ze'ev Moshalu. That I'm verstehen, but they're saying Chol Madana Matzim Ka'afar is from the Rambam's mashma, it's not a Shinui in Teva Bria, but it's for sure a Shinui in the way the world functions. Min Hagei Shaleilam. Yes, interessant. This Raya usually, the Rambam says in this halacha gufi, the Rambam is saying that there won't be any Shinui, Elam Kamen Hagei Neig, and the Rambam brings that there won't be Kinnas Sin of Chol Madana Matzim Ka'afar. So the Rebbe is saying, even if we're going to say that it's not considered a Shinui in Hagei Shaleilam, it's not a change in the nature, the Payal, even according to the Rambam, there's going to be a certain Shinui in how the world functions. Vim Vet is not uptouching, but the Payal, it's a certain, yeah. After yeah, ask on Kamal Adeh, Chini Hachros, Teres Akabola, Achsidis, that Varam Kipshutam, Gars Evim Kevis, so the wolf is going to have a different nature, loss of love. Ein Gang in Raivit, so the Raivit's Chilik on the Rambam, and he holds Vishbati Chayram, the Rambam brings that there won't be a Shir in Hagei Shaleilam also in Hilchos Tshuva, so the Raivit says there that brings Rayas, it says Vishbati Chayram in Aretz, that Chayra won't be Mashbis and Shalei Azika, that's a Shir in Hagei Shaleilam. The Teva of the Chayis Reis is that they're Mazik, and La'asid Love, the Pasuk says in Chumash, Vishbati Chayram in Aretz. So the Raivit paskins that there will be a Shir in Hagei Shaleilam. And Chassidus is Machriya like the Raivit. Yes, interessant. The Rambam, this halacha, the Be'ez Ezman, there won't be kinnas, sin of Tachros, and Yidin will be Chacham Gel, and the Rambam brings it twice in Sefer Hayad. Once in Hilchas Malachim, there the Rambam is being metayir how the world's going to look l'asad lavi. Hilchas Tshuva, the Rambam brings it for a different reason. Hilchas Tshuva, the Rambam read there, and when they get the Schar Mitzvahs, the Rambam speaks in Hilchas Tshuva, that the ultimate Schar is going to be Neshamas B'li Gufim. And the Rambam fragt, if the ultimate Ilui is Dveikus Ruchnis and not Dvarim Gashmim, so why is the Torah Meirich so much on Yehudim Gashmim? There'll be food and drink and all these other types of things. So the Rambam says there that that's not the ultimate schar. Torah is just saying that if a person doesn't have brios, so we can't learn Torah b'kohigen. You can't learn Torah b'miluch zadas. So the Eibush is saying that la'aseh you're able to learn Torah without any minis v'ikuvim. And what do you gain by learning? What's the schar? The schar is the schar ruchni take. Pasuk is just saying that if Yidden are going to be mekabel el Torah v'ez artisan, the Eibush will take away all the hafrais dadis. So when Torah speaks that Yudim Gashmim is not for the sake, not because this is the ultimate maila of the chshivas of Torah mitzvahs. It's just the Eibush just promising that if a Yid is going to zich ibrigam Torah v'ez artisan, he'll take away el derecheres, he'll take away all minis v'ikuvim. So the Rambam says that that's why Chachamim wanted Mashiach. Why now they wanted Mashiach because the Yishatu Akala Elam and all these things. They wanted Mashiach in order to have a Sagas Lukus B'Shleimus. So the Rambam brings it for different reasons. In the Hilchas Malachim, the Rambam brings this halacha that last will be Shleimus Hadas and there won't be Kinnas Sin of Tachros in order to be mentir how the world's going to be Mashiach comes. Mashiach Hilchas Tshuva is Bavarnig as Ashayla. Once he explained why that the Schar Gashmi is just a Zayt Gezach, he also, the Fizz will understand why Chachamim wanted the Mesa Mashiach. But the Ravid is Masig Hilchas Tshuva. So there's the Chassidus passing like the Ravid. But bleibt the Shaila, and the Rebbe doesn't just is Maramis that there's Shailas on the Rambam. The Ravid's Kasha, Ishvati Chayram and Aretz, and there's other Shailas that the Rishonim ask. It says Ulef Shalemer Lechemer Inin Akapana B'Dechek. The Rebbe adds another Shaila. You know this. The Sichel Chavdar adds another Shaila. The Rambam hold one of the Gimel Ikrim is Tches HaMesim, even though it's not brought in Sefer Hayad, but the Rambam brings one of the Gimel Ikrim, and Tches HaMesim is a sure Shinui in Hagei Shaleilam. How could the Rambam say that there won't be a Shinui? Tches HaMesim sure is a Shinui. And the Rambam L'Shitasi holds that Tches HaMesim, according to the Rambam, Tches HaMesim is not going to be Be'elef HaShvi. According to the Rambam, Tches HaMesim is the ultimate, is going to be Be'elam HaTchiyah. So Tches HaMesim has nothing to do with the Mesa Mashiach. Tches HaMesim is going to be Bizman, the Schar of Elef HaShvi. According to the Ravid, the Ramban, the ultimate schar is going to be Neshamas and Gufim. According to the Rambam, the ultimate schar is going to be Neshamas B'li Gufim. Tches HaMesim is going to be B'Mesa Mashiach. So according to the Rambam, how do you explain that there will be Tches HaMesim and there won't be a Shinim and Hagei Shaleilam? So Ulish and Mechemer Inyan, the Gamla Rambam based Kufis, La'achar Shabbat Mashiach. Yeah, is that bekannt? Is Cheskas Mashiach? When is Cheskas Mashiach? And which stage?
Which stage?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yamid Melech and Beis David. No.
No.
You sure?
I don't think so.
That's the Negela Meister. That was the...
I think Bein Hamikdash Mekeme is...
No, that's Mashiach Vada is after Binin
He
Hamikdash.
says, I used to call Zev, you know...
That's where they...
Nitzach Kolevis is Sviva. The Rambam, okay.
Rebbe says, I can take the camel behind him, so...
Huh?
Rebbe says, I can take the camel.
Was steht in der Rambam? I got it, but the Stutkov is Lachrish Vada Mashiach. Binin Hamikdash will be in a state of Cheskes Mashiach. Only after Binin Hamikdash becomes
Right,
Mashiach.
after Kibbutz Galuyos.
After Binin Hamikdash becomes Mashiach.
After Kibbutz Galuyos. Well, first he's
After Binin Hamikdash,
successful in all the Bechazka stuff. He builds with
Bring everybody back.
Then he does Kibbutz Galuyos.
Right.
He's a-
Binin Hamikdash Kabbos and Chisra. Right. Good. We'll have Shlemer L'Chemer in Yinah Kapana, but we'll bring Gates also in Angol Mashiach now.
I'll think of them.
So we can bring in the... We'll have Shlemer L'Chemer in Kapana. Gam the Ram Beis Kos Lach Shabbat Mashiach. Umala haaretz deya hi bitkufa rishayna tegula. B'chol ha'perek she'v'ram Hashem adar b'tkufa zuk, v'shez l'chashuv v'reketeh shemashkom nors deis Meir b'tkufa l'sheilin k'muna ginei. Yeah. Mashiach, there'll be another tkufa that Ram doesn't mention in Sefer yet, but there's going to be another tkufa. V'apiz yesh et haskos l'cha Mishnah, okay, this Shaila, you have to know the Shaila. And, was the time, okay, this... Oh, I give schil sagol email was is class is maybe some leads leads meer gedaan. Ga ik maar namen is die giddes beilen, dus we dat zo gepsut. Kids have to know the gemara. Okay, gewoon echt niet ophalten. You have to know the gemara